with his already nagging shoulder injury. Edelman has more than 1,000 yards this season. No other Patriots wide receiver or tight end even has 350 yards this season. Nick, what happens to the Patriots' Super Bowl hopes if Edelman is not healthy?
Well, the Super Bowl hopes are already dangling by a thread. And the thread is, can this defense that has been sensational all year get to the level it was at the first 2 months, which was 85 Bears defense, at least as far as pass defense? With or without Edelman, that is still their only path. But without him, that becomes not only their only path, but an utter necessity to even win a single playoff game. If you don't have Julian Edelman, then as much as I think the offensive struggles have been because of the deterioration of the quarterback, then Brady will have no established weapons he has a rapport with. He, thus far, all year, it's been very odd to me. So many of the people who argue Julian Edelman is a Hall of Famer are simultaneously arguing Tom Brady's got no one to throw to, but the Hall of Famer Julian Edelman is still out there. Now, he's obviously not a Hall of Famer, but he is a very good player. But the biggest difference is it's just a numbers issue. Right now, smart teams are realizing just double Edelman. Just put two guys on Edelman, bracket him, put a corner on James White, and then what are you going to do? What that allows for is deep down the field passing, but Brady can't make those throws at this moment, and I don't know if he'll be able to at any moment moving forward. If you take Edelman out of there, then you don't have to double whoever replaces him. That person can go and run support. That person can all of a sudden be the deep safety that could, in theory, take away the downfield passing if you're worried about it, if Brady rediscovers it. So he is, to me, Edelman, Broussard is their second most important offensive player behind Brady. I don't think many people would disagree with that. I know some people would say it's, you know, if they lose their right guard, they can't compete. It's unfair. But this would be a really critical injury or a critical missing piece at the wrong time of the year.
Even with Edelman, the only reason to believe the Patriots can get to the Super Bowl is just their history. Just that, hey, you can never write him off. It's Tom Brady. It's Bill Belichick. That's it, even with Edelman. So without him, look, and I'll fall victim to that as well. I won't write them off until they're dead this year. Until a team beats them in the playoffs, I will not write them off. But I certainly won't pick them with or without Edelman. Now, like I said, this week I think is big for them. Can you establish N'Keal Harry and Mohamed Sanu, or at least one of them, as a legitimate threat as a receiver? Because they still have James White and Sony Michel, mainly White as a receiver out of the backfield, but they become even more predictable than they already are if Edelman isn't there. So, yeah, I think without him, and I don't think he's, like you said, he's not a Hall of Famer. He's not some outstanding player, but he's comfortable with Tom Brady. They got a great relationship on and off the field, and that's his main guy. Now, remember, they did win a Super Bowl without Gronk.
Yep.
But you still had other weapons. And I've said it, Brady at 42 cannot carry mediocre talent to a Super Bowl.
It's not only that they've won Super Bowls in the past with missing pieces, but their quarterback was better. Was way better. Like I want to make sure everyone understands. I think Tom Brady for a long time was the best quarterback in football, and then shortly
you think he's the GOAT too,
of course. Yeah, okay. And shortly thereafter, when he was no longer the best quarterback in football, he was top 3, top 5. Last year, top 10. It hasn't been this is the first year since we've known Tom Brady as Tom Brady that he's been below average. He won the MVP in 2017. Last year, you saw the deterioration, but he was still better than the majority of quarterbacks in football. One other note about Edelman, Jenna, is the I think, fraudulent Hall of Fame case, but the case that's made for him is based solely around how great he is in the postseason. Like, he is reliable in the postseason. He's wildly productive in the postseason. If you remember, Brady was upset when they moved on from Danny Amendola after 2 years ago because Amendola made the huge play in the AFC Championship game against Jacksonville. Amendola was a guy who he felt he could rely on in the postseason. Gronk was a guy, obviously, he could rely on in the postseason. The only guy on their roster of note that would have any postseason receptions outside of Edelman with the Patriots be James White. Philip Dorsett, I should say. Philip Dorsett, the last year had a couple. But so, yes, it would be an enormous loss.
It's not like Sanu and N'Keal Harry are right there, you know, and they're about to break out with Edelman out. Sanu had, I think, 1 target, 2 targets maybe last week. N'Keal Harry had 2 snaps last week. It's not like they've really been getting them into the offense. And also when it comes to that defense, I know everyone's so gung-ho on them, but look at their opposition the first couple weeks of the season, and look who they now have to play the next couple weeks, maybe this weekend notwithstanding in the Bengals, but into the playoffs. I don't know if you can fully rely on that defense to button everything up, to give the Patriots often a chance without Julian Edelman in there.
Well, look, let's see what Kansas City becomes. If they get back to their old self, then they score big points on that defense, okay? And I don't know if Brady can score enough to play with them. Baltimore, look, are we going to say Bill Belichick can't come up with a strategy the second time around against Lamar Jackson to stop him? I think there's a shot at that. In Houston, I just can't trust at all.
I
saw what they did to New England, but I can't trust them at all.
One note, though, because we're talking about Kansas City, Baltimore, as assuming the Patriots are the 2 seed, they'd be the 1 and the 3 in Baltimore and Kansas City. If Edelman does not play, forget this weekend, next weekend, they could lose to Buffalo. Buffalo played them.
They almost lost them
They needed a blocked punt touchdown to beat them the first time. Now, I know that one was in Buffalo as opposed to in Foxborough, where this one will be. If the Patriots lose one more game, they fall to the 3 line. Kansas City's done losing. I said earlier in the year, Kansas City wasn't going to lose again until next season. I was a week early on that. But the Kansas City is, you look at the rest of their schedule, they're not going to lose the rest of the way. They now have the tiebreaker with New England. The reason that's relevant, if New England falls to the 3 line, it's not just that they have never made a Super Bowl without having a bye. It's that you would be playing in the first round of the playoffs a team with a great defense like Pittsburgh or like Buffalo for a 3rd time potentially, and those teams are going to be able to choke out the Patriots offense as it's going. Doesn't mean they can't win that game. Right. But you're going to have to win that game 13-10.
In Foxborough, you're not taking Josh Allen over Tom Brady.
In 2 weeks, I think I think it'll be first 1 to 17 wins. How about that?
It might be, but that first one will be the